Now, we all know that North Korea is shrouded in secrecy, but what you might not be aware of are the shocking bans that the citizens of this isolated nation face every day. From seemingly harmless activities to the downright bizarre, these bans are not just rules, they can be a matter of life and death. So, buckle up, because today we're exploring Surviving North Korea, 12 shocking bans you won't believe can be deadly. Yes, you heard that right. Some seemingly innocent actions can have severe consequences in this highly controlled society. Stick around to find out just how intense things can get, and trust me, you won't believe what we've uncovered. Number 12. Old newspapers. The government tightly controls access to information, extending to citizens' engagement with newspapers. Unlike many countries with public libraries offering historical newspapers for research, North Koreans are restricted from accessing old newspapers in such institutions. This limitation hinders their ability to explore diverse perspectives and delve into historical records. Instead, the government curates the experience by displaying daily newspapers in subway stations, but citizens are not allowed to purchase and take them home. This control over newspaper distribution prevents independent analysis and sharing of information. Placing newspapers in subway stations serves a dual purpose. It allows the government to influence content and messaging, reinforcing the state's narrative, while restricting access to old newspapers limits citizens' critical examination of historical events. Number 11. Mother's Day messages. Mother's Day, introduced in 2012, has undergone a significant transformation from an individual-focused celebration to a collective observance that also honors the ruling Workers' Party, known as the Mother Party. Originally meant to appreciate mothers, the day now aligns closely with the state's political narrative. A key change involves the prohibition of attaching personal messages of love to mothers. Instead, citizens are directed to express adoration collectively, especially towards past leaders Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. This restriction underscores the regime's emphasis on promoting loyalty to the political leadership over personal sentiments, reflecting a broader trend of blending familial feelings with political ideology in North Korea. The controlled nature of public expressions in the country is evident, where personal emotions are subordinated to the political narrative. The emphasis on adoration for past leaders reinforces the government's strategy of fostering loyalty and reverence for the political leadership within the context of familial and societal relationships. Number 10. Singing at public gatherings. In response to international sanctions, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has imposed a directive banning citizens from participating in social activities such as drinking, singing, and entertainment. This move is seen as a strategic response to economic challenges brought about by the sanctions. By curbing these activities, the government aims to maintain social order, control public sentiment, and steer citizens towards state-sanctioned priorities. Such restrictions on social gatherings align with North Korea's historical practice of strict control over daily life, reflecting the regime's broader strategy of shaping societal behavior, fostering ideological adherence, and minimizing dissent. Number 9. The Internet. The global Internet is completely banned due to concerns about the dissemination of yellow content, which encompasses material considered inappropriate or subversive to the government's ideologies. This term includes not only explicit content, but also information challenging the official narrative. To substitute for the global internet, North Korean citizens are provided access to a state-controlled intranet known as Kwangmyong. This closed network allows access to a limited set of government-approved websites, propaganda, and official announcements, carefully curated to align with the state's ideologies. The intranet serves as a tool for the government to control information flow, limit external influences, and prevent the spread of ideas contrary to the regime's interests. This restricted online environment is crucial for the government's strategy to maintain ideological control and prevent dissent or alternative perspectives. Number 8. Property. In North Korea, the government's control over citizens' lives is characterized by the prohibition of private property ownership. Unlike many other countries, North Korean citizens lack the right to own and transfer property. Instead, the government centrally manages housing arrangements, assigning individuals a place to live for a specified period. This restriction is deeply rooted in the country's political ideology, emphasizing collective ownership and communal living, in line with the principles of Juche. The government's control extends beyond residential properties to include restrictions on land and real estate, with housing assignments based on factors such as occupation and family size. Individuals may be relocated or reassigned based on government priorities, reflecting a centralized approach to exert control over living conditions. The absence of private property ownership impacts personal wealth and economic independence, reinforcing a collective society where individuals lack autonomy in property-related decisions. Number 7. Unsupervised travel. Foreigners face significant challenges when traveling to North Korea, where the experience is tightly regulated for those granted permission. Tourists must be accompanied by a government-assigned guide for almost their entire visit, with strict supervision aimed at controlling information and interactions. Guides are mandatory in public spaces, except for hotels and controlled environments, ensuring monitored and guided activities in line with the government's narrative control. Guides play a crucial role in shaping the tourist's experience, limiting exposure to elements challenging the established narrative, controlling interactions with locals, and restricting access to sensitive areas. These restrictions on freedom of movement highlight the tightly controlled nature of North Korean tourism, with visitors subject to a predetermined itinerary and limited independent exploration. Number 6. Taking photos. Tourists in North Korea can take photos to capture the country's landscapes and culture, but there are restrictions to control the narrative presented to the outside world. Photography of military personnel, installations, and construction sites is prohibited, reflecting North Korea's emphasis on secrecy and control over its military activities. This aims to maintain a carefully curated image of the country's defense capabilities and control the narrative around infrastructure development. Tourists should be aware that some photos may be scrutinized at customs when leaving, and North Korean authorities may delete images deemed inappropriate or sensitive. These restrictions illustrate the complexities of tourism in North Korea, allowing visitors a curated glimpse while navigating stringent guidelines to respect the government's desired portrayal. Number 5. Female driver. Driving privileges are strictly governed by gender-based restrictions, allowing only male government officials to operate vehicles. This prohibition extends even to female traffic officers. The government also tightly controls vehicular ownership, permitting only 1 in 100 people to own a car. These restrictions on both gender-specific driving and vehicle ownership align with traditional gender norms and reflect the government's broader control over resources and citizen mobility. The policies serve to uphold the regime's ideology, reinforce gender hierarchies, and manage societal behaviors by regulating access to transportation. Overall, these measures symbolize the comprehensive control exerted by the North Korean government over its citizens' lives. Number 4. Condoms. In North Korea, the unusual practice of considering condoms as popular gift items stems from a comprehensive ban on various forms of birth control. This ban, orchestrated by the North Korean Supreme Leader, has created difficulties for the population in obtaining contraceptives. Many North Koreans rely on businessmen returning from China, where such items are more accessible, to bring them into the country. The prohibition on birth control extends beyond condoms to other contraceptive methods, reflecting the regime's strict policy to boost the country's birth rate and cultivate a larger population of socialist workers. To enforce this objective, the Supreme Leader has not only banned contraceptives, but also abortions. This restrictive stance emphasizes the regime's commitment to controlling demographic dynamics and underscores the importance of population growth in supporting the state's ideology. Number 3. Western fashion. Since 2016, North Korea, under the leadership of Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un, has implemented a comprehensive ban on Western attire, including everyday items like jeans and body piercing. This initiative is part of a broader effort to resist the infiltration of Western culture into the country. The ban targets clothing, hairstyles, t-shirts, and skirt lengths, aiming to curb what the regime perceives as Western capitalist tendencies. By regulating personal appearance, the government seeks to strengthen its control over the ideological and cultural landscape, preventing influences that challenge established norms. The enforcement of the dress code is strict, with violators facing severe consequences, including the risk of being sent to labor camps. This punitive measure serves as a deterrent, instilling fear and emphasizing the regime's commitment to suppressing any semblance of Western influence. Number 2. Falling asleep in a meeting while Kim speaks. In North Korea, minor transgressions like falling asleep during a meeting where Kim Jong-un speaks can result in severe consequences, including capital punishment. The 2015 case of Defense Minister Young-chol exemplifies the extreme measures the regime takes to enforce loyalty and control. Young-chol was publicly executed with an anti-aircraft gun in front of over 100 people for allegedly disrespecting the supreme leader by falling asleep during an event. This incident underscores the regime's ruthless response to perceived disloyalty within the upper echelons, using public executions as a tool to instill fear and obedience. The severity of the punishment serves as a stark warning against any behavior construed as a challenge to Kim Jong-un's authority, revealing the oppressive nature of the regime and its intolerance for deviations from absolute loyalty. Even seemingly mundane actions, like dozing off in a meeting, can be interpreted as a threat to the regime's authority, leading to extreme and public consequences. Number 1. Foreign movies and K-pop songs. The North Korean government, led by Kim Jong-un, strictly prohibits foreign movies and K-pop to maintain control over information and culture, aiming to safeguard its ideological influence. The ban is motivated by the belief that foreign entertainment poses a direct challenge to established norms and societal structures, introducing diverse influences that deviate from the state-sanctioned narrative. Kim Jong-un's 2015 decree targeted the elimination of banned songs on cassette tapes and CDs to suppress dissent and ensure only approved content is accessible. Punishments for cultural infractions vary based on the origin of the material. Exposure to Western media, like American movies, may lead to execution, reflecting the regime's perception of it as a direct challenge to its ideology. In contrast, films from other countries, such as India, may result in imprisonment, highlighting the regime's selective approach to foreign cultural influences based on perceived threat levels.